So in this video, we'll just take a closer look at my Garmin Fenix 7X Sapphire Solar. This is the black version. As of recording this video, I've had this watch for like 1.5 years. And in this video, we'll just take a look at the condition of the watch after wearing it 24/7 for at least a year. Because I have also had the Garmin Epix Gen 2 and I had that watch for around 8 months and I was switching between the 7X and my Epix Gen 2. But after 8 months time, I actually sold my Epix Gen 2 and I've been wearing my 7X 24/7 ever since. Out of the 1.5 years I have owned this watch, I probably have it on my wrist for around 1 year 24/7. So let's just have a closer look at the condition. Like I said, this is the black version. So it does have a black bezel around the screen and also black on the back compared to carbon gray. You can see here my Epix Pro Gen 2 51mm is carbon gray. My 7X here is black. So you do get a little bit darker color around the bezel. And I believe also that the black coloring is actually a little less durable than the carbon gray or gray in general when it comes to these diamond-like carbon coatings. I rarely take it off even if I do some handiwork around the house and so on. Only really if I need to get my hand into very tight spaces, I take the watch off, else I just leave it on. And I definitely bumped it into a lot of things like metal handles and walls and so on and so on. Let's get a little bit closer actually. Around the bezel do have some wear and tear. You can see that there's some coating scratched off various places, but I must say in general I am very impressed by the overall condition. But you can definitely see where I have bumped the watch into certain stuff. Even though diamond-like carbon is a very durable material, it is of course still a coating on a watch, so it will scratch off with time. But we only really see the coating scratched off on the edges here, nothing really on the bezel itself. So that will of course just be normal wear and tear. With time, it will kind of scratch off at the edges first, but you could also of course put a lot of scratches onto the bezel itself. But I must say I'm very impressed by the actual coating on this watch here. The sapphire screen as well is completely like new. And I've definitely also bumped this one into a lot of door handles and so on. Metal door handle still looks brand new. I cannot even see one slightest scratch on it or one small scratch at all. Of course, it is not 100% scratch proof, but it is definitely much better than Gorilla Glass or just standard glass or mineral glass or whatever. So even though only thing that is harder than sapphire is in theory diamonds, you should also account for the fact that you are actually moving when you are bumping into stuff. So it could have a lot higher force onto the screen compared to the actual material. For instance, if you bump it into stainless steel, normally if you just scratch the screen, it will not scratch the screen. But if you bump it in at high speed, of course it could crack the screen, worst case, or put a scratch in there, because when you have an impact of some sort, it is much harder than just, lightly scratching the screen. And also sapphire is actually a little bit easier to crack. One of the biggest issues, because it is such a hard material, and the harder the material, the less flexible it also is. So that could also be an issue if you kind of bump it very fast into something very hard. It could accidentally crack, but I've never had any issues, and I've had sapphire screens ever since Fenix 3, and I have the Fenix 5X, and I had several Fenix 6 generation, and now I also have, of course, the 7X with a sapphire screen. And of course, sapphire also is less transparent, and this is also the solar version, so could be a little bit harder to see actually on the tree covers and indoors as well. So that's one of the annoyances with this type of screen. Let's have a look at the side of the watch here. Nothing really, still looks pretty close to brand new. This is a plastic frame or polycarbonate. I believe it's some fiber reinforced polycarbonate according to Garmin, but it still is plastic, and I've had some dents on my previous watches. But now when the bezel extends all the way towards the watch band arm here, or the arm where the watch band is actually attached, I've not had any issues with actually denting this specific frame. But you can see I do have some coating that has come off actually here, and also here as well. Not really anything major, but I believe that newer design where they actually extend the bezel throughout the watch arms here definitely is a big improvement compared to previous generations where this was also just plastic on the top. And like I said, I have definitely had some dents in mine throughout the years. So other than some slight wear on the bezel, I think still it is looking quite nice, and I do actually like a little bit patina on my watches, just so you can kind of see you have actually used them. So I don't really mind those areas where the coating actually have come off. a little bit patina, never hurt anybody. But anyways, on the right side here, still looks brand new, really. And all the buttons on this watch here still works very nice. I would say the start-stop button, maybe the least responsive of them all, but you do have a definite click and no double-clicking issues at all, so still fine enough. Of course, on the back side, this is protected by your wrist, so shouldn't really be an issue. I really like the newer design here, where they have glass covering the heart rate sensor, because on previous generation watches, they just have like this plastic blob here, and it would just scratch up very easily, and also people have issues with it cracking because it was just plastic. I like the upgraded there, but still looks brand new on the bottom here. The charging port, I do clean that out from time to time because gunk and other stuff will kind of accumulate there. So just use a toothbrush, just clean it out from time to time. And whenever I take the watch off for charging, I usually also just clean it. But that's really the only maintenance I have done with the watch. Just cleaning it maybe a few times a month, or whenever it needed cleaning. The flashlight maybe just have a little slight scratch on it there. It is very protected. It is rare that I actually bump this side of the watch into anything. So yeah, physical condition after 1.5 years and 1 year of constant wearing this watch, I think it has held up very well actually. And I have no problem recommending these generation of watches if you want something very durable. Like I said, I have definitely bumped it into a lot of things. In terms of stability, I've had no issues at all with the 7X series. I'm not really the most advanced user. I just run, do the occasional hike and walking, and use it to get my smart notifications. Of course, I use a lot of the widgets, tell my overall fitness condition and how well I've slept at night, and so on and so on. But I must say, I'm very impressed by the durability of this watch, and the coating in general is held up very well, and as well as the software experience. It has been very reliable for me at least. So I'm actually in the process of selling this watch because I recently got the 7X Pro. This time around I actually got it in silver and white just to try something completely different. And of course I won't have any issues with scratching the bezel, or at least not scratching the coating of the bezel, because it is just bare titanium. And I'm not really upgrading because I'm dissatisfied with the 7X. It's just that the newer functions of the 7X Pro, like the much improved backlighting of the screen, improved flashlight, improved heart rate sensor, but also the charging speed have improved, as well as I recently got the Epix Gen 2 Pro 51mm, and it has all of the same improvement, like charging, better flashlight, and heart rate sensor. And I still like both of these types of displays, and I just wanted to have the same exact experience, except for the display when I switch back and forwards between the two, because like I said, I really like both display technologies. They have their strengths and weaknesses, both of them. So it's not because I dislike the 7X. I actually am a little bit hesitant of selling the watch, but yeah, I kind of need the funds to fund my new 7X Pro. So overall, I think it has held up tremendously, and I will definitely recommend also just the black model here if you like the little bit darker look, which I definitely really like. But it's time for this one to move on to a new owner. But that's pretty much been all for this video here. Just take a look at the physical condition of the 7X Pro Solar Sapphire after at least 1 year of constant usage. I hope to see you again in a future video, but that's been it for this one. Take care.